All right. I am here. I'm sorry. I thought I was streaming already. I don't know why. I thought I was streaming. Sorry. You guys, it's so funny. I do something wrong every single time we start this. For those of you who are watching on Twitch already have heard me talking for a little bit because I'm using some beta version of OBS that I installed 10 minutes ago along with a plugin that only works on the beta version. And I had no experience with this beta version. It's very different. It's ARM-based. It looks different. So I was sort of scrambling to get up and running here in the last 8 minutes just so I could output to Twitch and YouTube. And I thought that the Twitch stream and URLs were both live, but it was just the Twitch one that was live. So I think I'm here. I think I'm live. The Twitch URL, I think we're just over at Level Up Tuts on Twitch. Let me confirm that for those of you who are asking. Twitch.tv, Level Up Tutorials. We're Level Up Tutorials on Twitch. I'm going to say this straight up. I do not stream on Level Up Tutorial or on Twitch very often because we weren't paying for a service to allow you to do multiple streams, but I didn't realize you could do that via plugins. So I got myself a plugin and now I am streaming to 2 places at once without having to pay for it. So that's great. Okay, so what's up with this stream? What am I doing here? Why am I here? What's going on? I'm going to rehash this stuff because it didn't make it to the YouTube stream. But I'm here because there's a major new SvelteKit API change. And this API change has evolved some major modifications to the routing system within SvelteKit. So in the past, we had what were inside of routes and index files, right? Or the name of the route files. And now, kind of going the way of the dinosaur, are route files. And routes can now only be defined as a folder, giving us access to special files inside of that folder to do all the stuff we want to do. And I think that's really fantastic. If you want to get more of my thoughts on this refactor overall, obviously my pre-thoughts, because I haven't tried it, there's another video called Major SvelteKit API Change I released 10 days ago. Go ahead and give that a watch. Okay, so what are we going to be doing in this video? Well, we're going to be migrating several sites. That's right, more than one site, because as you can see, we're going to be starting with something very, very simple here. And I have a monorepo full of different sites. You can see we have all of these different applications, and even inside of GQuery, there's several other SvelteKit packages. So I be having lots of SvelteKit packages to migrate. That's for sure. So what's the command to update SvelteKit? Well, I'm going to be doing so through pnpm, and you can update SvelteKit just by updating the version in your package.json, and then it's going to automatically give you all of the quote-unquote new stuff, but then we'll have to refactor our code. Now, you could hand refactor our code, but when you're dealing with a route structure and folder of something that is this massive, right? We got a lot of stuff in here, right? This is a big old site. When you're dealing with something like this, you're going to hope that migration script works. So obviously, I'm going to make sure that all of my commits are up to date on GitHub first. Pre-refactor commit. Make sure I don't have anything to commit. I don't think I do. These are all my different repos inside of here. Again, this project, I have a lot of repos. I have a lot of stuff. I'm going to try to show you this all very clearly as we go. And again, this is a live refactor of something that I've never done before. So we're going to see just how well this works. And then afterwards, maybe on Friday, I'll do my little like a post-mortem type of video to talk about how it went. So the first one that I think I want to try to update is SvelteToy. As you kind of saw inside of this, we have a very simple routes folder with one file. This seems like the package that's least likely to break for me because it's one file and I don't think it's I don't think it's going to do anything wrong here. But first, let's go ahead and update the SvelteKit version. Now, I'm on PNPM, and I can update all of the repos inside of my monorepo using a PNPM. I think it's all:_update. I think that's what it is. Let me confirm. Yeah, all:_update. And this is going to run, it's just a shorthand for PNPM-R update-L for the latest, -I for interactive. This is going to allow us to interactively update all of the repos inside of our giant monorepo. Okay, perfect time for an NPM error. That sounds great, right? Let's go live stream and I have an NPM error. Sounds good. So now I'm just going to scroll down here to where I see I want to update, let's say, the adapter auto and SvelteKit.dev to version 4.11, which is funny because I ran this update script just maybe like 10 minutes ago and the version was 4.10. So if we hit any issues, who knows? Maybe I'll just run the update script again and see if those updates have been pushed. So I'm just going to make sure I update. I'm only updating the adapter auto because, hey, might as well get the latest version. And then actually, this doesn't even look like, I don't even know what this is doing because it doesn't look like I have a previous version. Whatever. Svelte.js-kit, we're going to get up to version 4.11. And because this is a giant monorepo and I'm using PNPM workspaces, this is going to update it for all of the projects in this workspace. So I can hit go and you can see it's updating packages UI. It's, okay, it should have updated all of them. It just says packages UI, but I'm sure those are just warnings. Let's go ahead and check some of my package.jsons. This is it within the SvelteToy repo, and you can see I am on version 4.11 now. So let's go ahead and change directories into cd packages SvelteToy. Okay, SvelteToy is a library that I wrote that's like an admin menu that I use all the time. It's one of my favorite things. It's one of my favorite things that I ever made, to be honest, and it's named after a popular Meteor plugin called Meteor Toy. By the way, those of you who are watching on Twitch, I cannot see the chat. By the way, I don't want to have too many windows open, so I can't see the chat. Joy of Code says they encountered some TypeScript issues. Cool. So glad I got that 4.11 update in before we get going here. Then I don't want to hit any issues because doing a refactor live on YouTube the day after something drops is always a great idea, right? Get some cold brew courage here and let's get this going. So the first things first, I am going to PNPM dev just to see this break. So again, we've installed all the latest versions of everything, but I haven't migrated my code. So it's no surprise that running PNPM dev is going to break. So you can see that the error that it gives me, the file system router API has changed, see for details. Now that issue is just going to kind of tell you a little bit about what's going on here. But what we really need to do is run the migration script. Now we could do all of this by hand, but the migration script is definitely going to be the way to go, I think. Okay, so where do I want to start? App.index here. Perfect. App.index, this is the one file that's going to change. This is just a very basic route here. Okay, no big deal. Let's go ahead and what we want to do is we want to run this script here, and we're going to want to check to see how routes.index.svelte has changed. So we're going to do so with, I use PNPM, so I'm going to do PNPX, and it's just svelte migrate. Migrate? I believe it's just svelte-migrate. Migrate. And this is going to say you must specify one of the following migrations. Now, I've ran this command before because I'm the type of person who runs a migration script on code that won't even work just for fun. And so if we say svelte migrate, and then you can say routes, this is going to choose what type of migration it is. Now, this goes to show you that they're kind of saying like, there's going to be other migrations in the future, perhaps, right? So this will overwrite files in the current directory. Recommend committing your changes. I committed my changes. So I'm going to hit Y, and you can see now it tells you, oh yeah, you can just git commit these things. But I kind of want to make sure this works before I did that. So if I do npm dev, you can see that we now have a localhost port 5173, which is the new Vite extension here. And guys, I'm happy to report. Anyone's asking if they have a PNPM migration guide for Svelte. The PNPM migration is really just installing PNPM and running PNPM. It only gets complex if you have workspaces, but everything else in PNPM is basically NPM. It's just faster and nicer and cooler and just more handsome. Difference between PNPM and normal NPM, it saves space on your computer by using symlinks. It makes things fast. It has a really, really super good workspaces set up. So monorepos inside of PNPM have been much better. And as you can see here, I'm on the latest version of SvelteKit, and it's working. This is, if you haven't used this plugin, by the way, this is a plugin that I wrote called SvelteToy. And what it is, it's a way that you basically just toss in a store into the side nav, and it brings up this little window, this little side window, you can see. And this allows you to see and reference, hello, Scott, see and reference any of your stores reactively. Is active? I'm active, right? So this is a fun little plugin that I made. I use this thing on all of my sites. You'll occasionally see a little toolbox or a little slide menu out here. So it looks like we're good. We're good to go on that one. So step one, get the most basic version of this thing working, is done. Let's go ahead and actually examine the changes. You can see that index.svelte has been removed, and we do have a page.svelte or plus page.svelte inside of our routes folder. Now, this is interesting because we don't have a root route. So I hadn't thought about this, like what do you do for the index route? But the index route is just the index. So plus page.svelte is now the only file in here. So like I said, some of these are going to be easy and some of them are going to be less easy because this is a one file inside of our routes. And as you can see, this file didn't even have any, doesn't have any server-side stuff at all. So it's just, well, I mean, server-side rendering here, but it's just client-side code, just HTML and some basic JavaScript. So that's easy. Step one, complete. Check. So SvelteToy has been migrated. That means I can come in and, what did they say in the command line? Let's see. They said to commit it with commit msvelte migrate rename files. That's fine. Whatever. I can do that. These changes weren't staged. Why not? Why weren't these changes staged? Oopsies. Well, whatever. Okay. We have a weird commit message now because I got a little happy with Okay, next one, let's do side menu because side menu is very similar to SvelteToy. Before we get into some of the big boys here. So let's cd packages, cd side menu. Okay, now that we're pros at this, we hardly should even have to look at this. So Svelte side menu is basically the larger version of that SvelteToy plugin. And by larger, I mean it's a smaller, more focused version of it that the SvelteToy plugin uses to just have a simple side menu. We use this for admin menus. We use it for a clear cache button, like Drupal style, like all sorts of stuff, right? So this one, let's see what this looks like. We just have same thing, index.routes, okay? So this one should be the same type of easy. We're inside of the side menu, and we can just run pnpx svelte migrate routes, yes, and then pnpm dev just to confirm that it's working. Let's confirm that it's working. And as you can see, here is the side menu. Side menu is kind of neat. You can see there's the rocket ship. See, you can put links in here. How to use. You can see that we have headers with links, various themes for this thing, or maybe you want buttons or slide areas as well. Very neat. Cool. Easy peasy. Oh, get reset soft head. You know what, Chris? I love that you're looking out for me there. I just don't know if I care that much. Okay, let's go. Svelte migrate, rename files. There we go. I appreciate it, Chris. For some reason, commit names and things like this, they just feels like one of those things that if I goof it up, I'm just like, well, whatever. That's just the way it is, right? Okay, so GQuery is a big boy, but we have Svelte menu and SvelteToy. Now, AutoForm is kind of a big package as well. Well, I wonder what the routing menu for AutoForm's like. I don't think it's really intense. It's just an index.svelte. I can do AutoForm on my own time. We've done 2 successfully right now, and that's fine. I think I'm confident enough to move on to a bigger idea here. So GQuery is fairly large. I don't know if I want to touch GQuery just quite yet. Side menu, shared, Svelte element query. Maybe. Let's go ahead. And I don't think I need, maybe you can do Svelte element query too. I'm pretty sure that this one is, look at this. This isn't even a SvelteKit project. Huh. Okay. So you might be wondering why I'm kind of dancing around here. The dancing is because the Svelte UI, this UI for Level Up Tutorials UI is a massive project, and I'm very scared to run the command on this project because I know it's going to break. And if it doesn't break, I think I will buy Cheris and the entire Svelte team cakes or something because it's going to be scary. Let's go ahead and do BootKit. So BootKit or BootKit is a library I've been working on. I just recently did a video on to do storybook style stuff. Now let's go ahead and check it out. We have our source files. We have inside of here, we have routes. Now the routes for this one, you'll notice is quite a bit more intense. We have a layout root file, which I'm concerned about. We have an index file. We have a layout at root. We have some slug files. We have a lot of stuff. And this one's nice because there's a lot of interesting SvelteKit things inside of here where we have the context module, we have loaders, but in the same regard, it's also small enough where we're going to be able to see if there is a major problem here. So cd ... ls, let's cd into BootKit. Okay. And here goes nothing. We're going to, in fact, maybe we should have this open side by side. We can see this happen over here. Watch the magic happen. Hit enter. Let's go. Rewrite. Yes. Ooh, okay. So, let's dive into this. Plus layout hyphen root. That's one thing that I'm concerned about is the root files. I wonder if the docs for this are live yet. SvelteKit docs. I'm going to see if the docs are live for this thing because I want to make sure that these layouts are fine. Let's see. Layout. Let's see. Layout. All right. Layout. Plus layout. Okay. Plus layout. Is plus layout hyphen root a thing? I feel like that seems like it's probably not going to be a thing. But because here you can see I have 2 different ones, layout at root and then layout root. Look for at migration in the source code, the tools and comments updates as needed. Look for at migration in the source code. Which source are you referring to? The SvelteKit for source code, DJ Bobach? Will you update your site's SvelteKit guides? Yes, I'm going to do a major new SvelteKit tutorial the moment that version 1 hits. So we have different types of layouts. Layout.svelte, I want to know what the root layout has become. You can create a layout that only applies to the pages below settings while inheriting the root layout, routes, settings, plus layout. Sorry, I'm reading the docs here. Your updated project. I don't, I'm not quite sure I track what you're saying about the, I know it did say something about that in the command line, but I don't know if I track it. Review the migration guide, search code base for @migration, and okay, I'll do that. Okay, I'll do that. Throw new error, migration task error. Okay. So what this is saying is that these things are going to throw as errors. So if we run pnpm dev, these things are going to throw as errors, I suppose, because they're errors being thrown. Well, hey, BootKit kind of loads. Let's see. Yeah, here we go. Migration task. This is nice because obviously you could just hunt for @migration, and you probably should be doing that. But @migration task, update the load function. Update the load function. And which load function is this? Well, this load function is probably one of the ones that I have found over here. So this is the kind of stuff you know what the I don't think this does this answer my check code was safely removed. I don't know if this answers my question about layout root. If anybody knows how to do a root layout in this new thing, let me know here, because that's going to be kind of important. So error, migration task. Check that this code was safely removed. So what it did is it commented out of my code. This is a layout file, and this layout file has its own load function. The load function is simply something that's imported from SvelteKit. Now I can already see a problem that I'm going to have in that I did some imports inside of the context module. I don't know why, but I did those imports and they're no longer available. So let's go ahead and I'm going to delete this stuff, delete this error migration. I'm going to remove context.module. That way the imports are now working. Import book. There we go. Okay, so what I've done, I don't need the SvelteToy in here, so let's get rid of that entirely. Let's just get rid of that. Bingo, bango. Okay, cannot find module transformers TypeScript. Now that is interesting. Joy of Code, you said you had some TypeScript issues. Is this one of them? I'm curious about that because cannot find module transformers TypeScript. Interesting. I'll keep an eye out for that one. Okay, so layout.ts now kind of works. Layout.root, I'm not sure layout root as a convention is going to work. If anyone knows what the root is for that, let me know. Now we have layout.ts, which is the load function of the layout. So the load function, all it should be doing here is importing layout load as load and then exporting load. Why? Because this is a library, and the library that I have does some complex load stuff. But in the demo, we wanted to make it really easy for users. So I've made the load function for you as layout load, and then I'm just exporting it. So we import load and we export it immediately. Okay, so that should accommodate for that. Now page doesn't have anything in it. This kind of stuff, I don't know if these things really matter. So we'll take a look at those later. Now we also have inside of here, we have our new folder, which is parent as a parameter and title as a parameter. and then page.svelte, and then page.ts. Now, again, if you're looking at this and you're wondering what these changes are meaning with this plus sign, what we're saying here is that the folder is now named parent title, which it was before. I mean, the file was named this before, but the route is parent title. And then inside of the route parent title, we have both a page, which is our template, and then we have a page, which is our load function. And just like the page, the layout template that we had where we imported load and exported load, we're doing the same thing. We're importing load and we're exporting load. I think you can just do export load from lib, but I'm going to keep it like this for now because, one change is enough for me right now. And let's take a look at this page.svelte, where we no longer need to do that, but we do need to import, because just like the last one, I did some importing of things that were in the template, but I did them in the migration script or the module, context module. So let's just get rid of that. Paste this in here. Remove this, and then now we have it like this. Okay. So we still have this cannot find module transforms thing, variable params implicitly as any type. That's fine for me right now. What we're doing in this file, this is the BootKit demo, and this BootKit demo essentially is now working. Hey, how about that, right? So as you can see here, by the way, in case you're wondering about BootKit, this is the demo. So the code that we're editing right now isn't the library itself. This is just the demo. So as far as the demo goes, if you watch the last video, all you'll need to do is have, in fact, we should just make this a copy and paste kind of thing. Ollie, yes, I am streaming on Twitch. I'm live streaming there, and I posted the link a minute ago. You know what? I decided that, yeah, I should probably be streaming as many places as possible. So, yeah. Follow me over there if you want. I can't see the code right now, or the chat right now over there because I have too much stuff going on, but just know that it's there. Okay, so beautiful, lovely, wonderful. Let's go here. This all works. And so, as you can see here, we have a bit more complex of a migration, one of which is that was I think that was a bit of a premature celebration here because cannot destructure property parent of undefined. Now, I'm guessing this is because of the load function. So the way BootKit works is that it does kind of a glob import, and it looks for, this is definitely broken. So what it does is it does a glob import, and then it uses the files that it finds to build out essentially a state tree of the entire application, of your stories and their state and which frames are loaded, and it puts them into buckets, right? Builds a tree. And then it uses that tree to be passed in, I would imagine, oh no, params are coming just from the routes. So that's the problem here. So either way, we build the state tree, and then we use that state tree to do the nav, to show the components, to do all that stuff, right? But one of the things we do is that we grab the params from the route, given the parent and title, parent-title, and those come from an individual page story. So for instance, in the demo, you can see we have export const title, export const parent, and that, along with these params, is how we know which component to load at any given time. So what I'm seeing here is I would imagine that these params are just straight up undefined because of probably a new way that props are being loaded via the load function, which is not something I've encountered yet. I know I did the sort of pre-everything for this, but it's not something that I've necessarily encountered. So let's see. Function get story, parent title, cannot destructure of undefined, params are officially undefined. So that's fine, because I think I could fix that fairly easily. So what it's basically saying is that we are exporting our load function from $lib, which means now I need to get into the library itself of BootKit. And BootKit, this is actually probably one of the downsides of having your load stuff exist outside of here, because I don't know what the migration script could probably do for that anyways. But since I have the load functions all living in a library, I would imagine that is the issue. So get story. This is the code that we use to get the stories. And you can see that we're getting the parent and title parameters from essentially, this is what we're doing, params. So how has the load function changed params? That's the big question here. How has the load function changed params? We're going to find out right now because I know it's something, I just haven't done it yet. Okay, so params should be available as params. So did the load function not change params? Doesn't look like it did. So then why are params undefined? Oh, this is why. So one of the big changes was in the load function, you now just return your props. And then if you want to have a redirect or an error, you throw an error or a redirect. So because of that, now instead of having props params in our load function, all you simply have to do is just say params, like this. So we're simply grabbing the params from the URL and returning it. And if I am guessing correctly, I would say that this should now work just fine. But you know me, I think that might be a little optimistic. Let's see. It breaks. No, why did it break? Okay, something broke. So params is still undefined. Why are params still undefined? Why would params still be undefined? We are accepting params from the load function, and then we're returning them just as params. Now, I guess I could just, I'm sorry for not using the debugger here, but I suppose I could just use the console log here to let me know if at this point are the params even coming in. So the params are coming in as parent component title, okay, but params in the component itself are undefined. So there is something wrong here where we're returning the params from our load function. The load function is being run definitively here. So we're importing load from lib, and then we're exporting load from lib. I think that's the problem, right? Because, well, no, I don't know if that is the problem. Let's see. Export async function load. If your load function can only run on the server, okay, that's not what we want. If your load function, okay, here's your load function. We're export function load params. I have a question for myself. The question for myself is, if I were to just copy and paste this load function from here and paste it inside of this to just do this, does this work? And if this does work, there should be only one prop on your page data. That's the problem, Jeff? Data? I should have one data prop? Oh, you're right. You're right. So, yes, okay. So this is the missing secret here. It wasn't anything with this. In fact, let me undo all this stuff because I still want this to exist here. So this all should work fine. The problem isn't that the props aren't getting passed into the component. It's that I'm looking for the props incorrectly. So in Plus, I had this named as params, but it's not params, it's data. And the new prop coming in to your data or into your component from the load function is always going to be named data. And I would assume that means that params is now params equal data.params. This is the assumption that I'm going to make. Again, you'd think I'd be an expert at this stuff because I've looked at it so much, but when you're actually doing it and you're getting into it, it's quite a bit different. Success. Success. Perfect. 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 So this is BootKit, and BootKit's now working. Wonderful. So that assumption was correct. Thank you, Jeff. You unlocked the mystery here. And now BootKit has been officially migrated. If you want to go ahead and give this tool a try, now that this thing is on the latest and greatest SvelteKit, now that I'm going to be able to clean this up. In fact, let's give this a try now. Now that we have this working, why not experiment a little bit with it? So let's remove this console log. Okay, so instead of on our page, instead of export load from lib or export load, let's do export load from lib. One liner. Let's see if this worked. It should work. I don't see why this wouldn't work. Perfect. Let's talk about a nice little API upgrade there. Nice little API upgrade. We can now just do export load from lib, and this is what it's going to be now for BootKit, which is great. Now instead of having some kind of craziness, we can say just export load from lib. And likewise, let's do layout.ts, where we can just do export layout load as load, export layout load as load from lib. Bingo. Wonderful. Two lines into one word. Love it. You know what? I'm still have not really figured out about this layout root thing. Those of you who, again, I'm going to do a nice little shout out here. If you know how to do a root layout with this new system, let me know. Because I do. I mean, I see the layout docs. I'm not going to read this on live stream. Why? Because it's more fun this way, I suppose. I can always check this out later. Again, if you know how to do a root layout, let me know. Cool. All right. Bye-bye, Svelte docs. Bye-bye, SvelteKit docs. Okay, BootKit up and running. And now the next thing left for me to do is to get the docs up to date so y'all can use BootKit. Okay, wonderful. Moving along here. All right, let's update GQuery. If you haven't heard of GQuery, GQuery is a plugin that we use to do GraphQL code gen, and it does GraphQL code gen along with client-side caching and local host storage and all sorts of stuff. So cd GQuery. Inside of GQuery, I have, unfortunately, several other packages. This is the unfortunate situation of a monorepo within a monorepo, which sounds, it's as bad as it sounds. And what we have inside of here is we have four different packages. We have the code gen, we have the core, which is the client-side library, we have an example, and we have a Vite plugin. And I'm going to check to see how many of these actually utilize routes. I'm sure I'll migrate all of them, but packages, GQuery, packages. So the Vite plugin is just straight up TS. The code gen, I think, is just straight up TS. The core plugin is SvelteKit. And now I'm not exactly sure why. Is this where the docs are? Yeah, this is where the docs are. So this one should be fairly trivial. Let's start with GQuery core to update that, and then I'll do the GQuery example, which is one I'm maybe a little bit more scared of. So let's go to cd core, because this is a SvelteKit project, and we're going to do pnpx SvelteKit migrate routes once again. What do you use for your monorepo? We just use pnpm. So it's only pnpm workspaces, and it's wonderful. It couldn't be any better. Like I said, we have nested monorepos, and guess what? This is our pnpm workspace file. That's it. We do pnpm workspaces.yaml and say, hey, look for a new folder called packages. And then, hey, DJ, I will be doing actually a series on pnpm and monorepos, because ours is really wonderful, and it allows you to do some really great stuff across all sorts of packages. Let me close some of these files here. All right, let's dive into the core package here. I ran the migration script. I don't think I ever hit yes on it. There we go. I hit yes on it, and the source routes has been updated. So we now have a couple of things here. We now have a layout file that looks like this. Okay. Looks like our standard layout. We have a page file that looks like this. Again, no context here. Svelte does not have VDOM, Ken, and that's one of the reasons why we love it, because we like working with the DOM. Now, contributing has nothing like this. Okay, this one should be fairly trivial. Let's go. Let's do this. pnpm dev. Gotta spell it correctly. pnpm dev. We should be up and running. Let's see. No, cannot be found. Oh, that's my fault. Cannot be found. Oh, why is this running at a different port? 5173? No, 5173. Cannot be found. No web pages found. 5173. That's weird. Localhost 5173. Page cannot be found. So that is fun. Hey, Ken, I don't know what you're talking about. It's not slower. I don't know, man. You're shipping less code. You're shipping less code. You're writing less code. You're having to shoot yourself in the foot less often. Yeah, Ollie, sorry about that. I have so many windows open. I have OBS, I have YouTube, I have all this stuff. I'm like trying to keep track of too many things. In fact, it'd be great if I... Ken is just repeating things that he heard someone else say. So just ignore him here if he's going to be spouting off that the VDOM is always faster. Yeah, I agree with Joy of Code. jQuery might be more of your speed. React is faster to have some problems. Yeah, let's see. Okay. Localhost, this page cannot be found. What are you talking about? Localhost is up and running. Let me stop. Reload. Stop reload. Cannot be reached. Okay, pnpm dev. Refresh. Localhost page cannot be found. Why? Why can't you be found? What's going on here? I think now the port, instead of 3, I'm at the random port. I'm at the 51 whatever port. So I'm not quite sure. Do I have app.html, SvelteKit head? There's nothing weird there. Page.svelte. Let's go ahead and do this. I have a layout. I am going to just have the layout display. In fact, let's just comment out page.svelte and just have this with a H1. Hello. Maybe there's some kind of issue here that I'm not seeing. 404. That's weird that it's a 404, right? I mean, 404 doesn't make a ton of sense to me because it's saying like, oh, hey, there's not a route here. Right? I fixed this by manually setting the port. Yeah, I wonder if I have to do port. Oh, is that not the command? Just assuming that it was port. But this is weird because, right? Let's do this. Let's do a little experiment here. Let's yeah, I'll try the contributing thing next, but there is an index page, so like there should be working. CD SvelteToy pnpm dev. Let's see if this other one works. Okay, SvelteToy works. .404. Okay, what is different between these two? That's the big question. Do some yeah, I would love to do some dancing in here. Honestly, I'm gotta get some of that energy out. What's the difference between these two sites? We have a routes folder with a page.svelte and a layout.svelte. We have an app.html inside of a routes folder, inside of the core folder. And let's check the version of SvelteKit. It should be 4.11. SvelteKit version 4.11. Okay. How about this? Let's try this. This is fun. This is fun. Let's do an rmrf.svelte. By the way, I did try the contributing URL. It did not work. pnpm dev. So all I did is just remove the SvelteKit directory just to try it. Just to try it. What could possibly be different from this site to the SvelteToy site? Because we've confirmed that SvelteToy didn't app.html change. You know, I don't think it changed meaningfully beyond just changing SvelteKit head to SvelteKit head, and that's what mine is. So src routes page.svelte inside of routes plus page.svelte. Routes plus page.svelte. I'm going to, for fun, just remove layout from the equation here, just to reduce our amount of variables. So Jean asked if the migration step worked. Yes, in fact, the migration step had worked several times, and we've done this now. This is like the third or fourth package we're doing the migration step on, and it seems like everything worked fine. It seemed like the migration step worked fine. You know what? I just don't know. Vite problem. I think it might be a Vite problem. In fact, that's not a terrible idea to, let's do cd dot cd dot, and then let's do a pnpm all, or pnpm all update. And let's see if there is a Vite update, because there's very possibly a Vite update. Sorry, this is so giant. Okay, let's see if there's a Vite update. At GraphQL, there is a Vite update. So when in doubt, just update Vite to the next minor version and pray that it works, right? Oh yeah, can you open Svelte? Yeah, I can do that. Let me do that. Let me close this first. Let me try it once now that I've updated Vite. Who knows though why this wouldn't be working? 404. The 404 thing is what gets me, is that it's like very clearly I did upgrade SvelteKit package. SvelteKit's been updated to the latest version. So this, to give you guys some backstory, if you're just coming into this, the migration script has been working. This is now like the third or fourth repo we've done this on, and for some weird reason, it is not loading up my site. Now, this could be something that I'm doing odd. Like, here's something that's interesting. So we have app.html and global.d.ts are the only thing inside my source folder. And in this one, there's app.css, which is fine, right? In fact, let me move app.css into lib. And then, or it says, hey, there's no such file or directory. Okay, fine, whatever. And then we have app.d.ts. Why does this exist? Let's delete app.d.ts, move to trash, and let's move contributing.md to lib, and let's leave docs.md to lib. I'm wondering if the fact that there's something else named app.html inside of here is choosing to load that up. It's a system 404, not a SvelteKit 404. It's a config issue. Yeah, that kind of tracks too. But I guess for me, doesn't see a .SvelteKit folder. Yeah, you're right. What's up with that? Yeah, you're right. There is no Vite config. So you guys are so right. Which is really interesting because I swear I've already migrated this using the previous when you had to change the version to Vite config. So let's just do that. Vite config.js. So why in the world would this one not have a Vite config? I bet that's my fault. Well, I know that's my fault. Vite.config. I deleted it? When did I delete it? I don't think I deleted it. Oh, yeah, I deleted the .SvelteKit. You're right. But it should have auto-generated because I've reran dev, and dev reruns sync. So it should have created itself, right? Okay. We have a SvelteKit folder now. Yes. Beauty. And you can't see because I have this on the off-screen monitor, but this now works. Hello. Cool. Okay, let's start putting back the things that I broke, and we can get this one and check this one off the list, and then we can move into the GQuery example, which I guarantee is not going to be harder, but it is potential, has some pitfalls into it because there's the whole code gen thing that we're doing. And I'll talk a little bit about that as we go. Okay. So I brought this all back to normal, refresh, failed to load app.css. Of course I did because I moved that to lib. I bet it's going to fail to find the markdown as well, unless I tell it to scoop up all the markdown files. Nope. Area. No such file. Sorry, in case you're wondering like about these docs were kind of hastily thrown together, so don't come at me about this. just trying to okay. I don't know if it's getting CSS. Yeah, it is. It's getting CSS. It's not getting the gradient. There's a gradient in here. I'm wondering why it's not getting that. I don't care enough to figure it out. So I'll deal with that later. Either way, the GQuery docs are back and the important stuff is done. Beautiful. Okay, now it's time to get into the real stuff here. Yeah, everybody go follow Joya Code on YouTube. Puts out wonderful content. Okay. Yes, docs with no gradient in the background and the wrong font are better than no docs at all. So now we're going to do the GQuery example. Now the GQuery example is kind of interesting. All it does is it basically hits our own Level Up Tutorials API, and it hits our Level Up Tutorials API and generates some stuff. So we have just the standard routing structure, but inside the lib, there's some GraphQL stuff. So I'm anticipating, I'm not anticipating chaos or anything, but you never know when you have big updates. In fact, I should check here if there's a Vite config. And there's not. What gives? Did I just like not migrate these to Vite 3? Vite config.js. Okay. And now obviously I have to remove, oh, yeah. So the Vite, sorry, this is like a migration that could potentially be fun here. So check this out. So I need to move my plugins over. I have a GQuery code gen plugin that is being brought in like this. Level Up Tut's GQuery code gen that's being run as a Vite plugin, and it should probably run after the SvelteKit plugin, although I don't think that really matters. We'll find out. Like there. Okay, pre-process, all this stuff stays the same. We should be good on SvelteKit. We should be good on Vite. Let's go ahead and run that migrate script. Migrate script is being run. Hit yes, there we go. Those of you who are just coming in now or haven't been watching, don't know what we're doing here, we are migrating to the latest SvelteKit routing API, and I have a whole bunch of sites to do this on. And because of that, it's going to be kind of interesting. You can see that page.svelte has been migrated, although since this one does have a context module, we do have a migration task. Now, this is going to be interesting because we are loading data in this, and to be honest, I don't know if GQuery is going to work with this latest setup. So obviously, if we run pnpm dev, this is going to break, right? It's going to hit that migration error. In fact, where is it? Error package subpath cogen is not defined by exports. No. You know what? I'm going to be real honest here. I don't want to try to fix this problem on screen here because these kind of things are just straight up obnoxious, and I don't know why package subpath is not defined. In fact, actually, even better than this, we'll do vite config. We'll look at my UI config, and we'll just copy and paste it from there. I bet that's it. Vite config GQuery example. What I did is I have not updated the example, but I updated the package name. So that's always really smart, right? This makes a complaint about it not being installed, but it doesn't look like it. So, okay. So now we're going to hit some errors. Now, the first of which is going to be the classic error that you've probably seen before if you've been keeping up to date, where it's telling us that Svelte has now changed to SvelteKit inside of app.html. So a little while ago, svelte.head became SvelteKit.head, SvelteKit.body, and refresh. I think at this point we should be hitting a, oh, come on, get out of here, ESLint. Okay, let's do this. Svelte assets. Do I have to restart? I think I do. Just spam svelte.assets. I did do that, didn't I? Okay. SvelteKit.head and SvelteKit. Am I dumb here? I mean, error. Svelte assets in src app.html should be replaced with SvelteKit.assets. And this is where I am here. So I'm inside of my example. I'm inside of the source folder. I'm inside of app.html. And I have SvelteKit.head and SvelteKit.body. Let's check out the core one that I just migrated because that one worked. SvelteKit.head, SvelteKit.body. Oh, SvelteKit assets. I need to read. Okay. SvelteKit. I did miss one. Thank you, guys. Classic. Okay. Request in the handle has been replaced by event. So this is going to be a whole big thing. So we're now getting a new error here. And I got to say, so the way that GQuery works is that it loads up a GraphQL file. It looks for all of your GraphQL files, and it does some code gen on them. And then in the code gen, it outputs a .gq.ts file. This includes writables for all of your different GraphQL queries. So this is a plugin that I made to work with GraphQL and cache our data. And so what it does is basically whenever you run a get function, it populates a writable. That writable then becomes available on the UI. Now, the reason why this is interesting or cool or anything like that is because we can run inside of our load function. Can I find DevTools? You gotta be kidding me. Oh, let's just get rid of it. Okay. So the reason why this is interesting is so in our load function, we grab our fetch, we pass in fetch to the get function, and then we return nothing. Now, that's fine. That seems to be okay. Where is it upset about the request bit? Request in the handle has been replaced by event. So request in handle is inside of Is that being run here? Either way, hold on one second. Let me get rid of this stuff here. Let me clean up some of this migration stuff. What we want to do is we want to replace context module, and we'll keep dev tools in here because we want to use those dev tools, and we will import the latest series store, and we will get rid of this stuff. Okay. And this should essentially be the code that should work, right? Where we have the GQuery dev tools, we have the H1. That's right. I made my own dev tools for this thing because I'm a psycho like that. Not only did I make my own GraphQL client, I made my own GraphQL client's dev tools for fun. Okay, so page.svelte. At this point, what this page is doing, this is the only page on the application. It's loading up the dev tools, which I can't imagine. Maybe those are the problem. In fact, let's get rid of the dev tools just to see if that does anything. It does not. Just to eliminate some extra things. So at this point, there's no layout or anything. All it's doing is importing latest series from series.gq. Now, latest series is essentially a writable like this. And we have just that. And then we call get. This get just does a fetch from gfetch. So what I'm wondering is where in the world this would even be request in the handle has been replaced with event. I'm wondering if the empty return is the problem here, right? We have a load function and we can't return a status anymore, right? You're not returning a 500 from here. So what do you return out of a load function if it's not returning data? What do you return out of a load function if it's not returning data? Is that even the problem, I guess? In fact, just to return something, let's just return test. Why not, right? Classic. So you can't see this off screen, but I'm manically hitting refresh on a page and it's not doing anything. So the request in the handle has been replaced by event. It's telling me to look at this GitHub URL. So obviously I should just keep on ignoring that like I have been. Let's fire that up here and check it out. Okay. So interface request. So maybe this is the TypeScript thing. Better align with SvelteKit with modern platforms, request and response objects and hooks and endpoints. I don't think I am using hooks, or I don't think I'm using anything. Oh, I am using hooks. Okay. Now this is interesting. Ooh, example source UUID cookie set cookie serialize. Why is this here? Why is this here? He says very confused. Is this, if this is the first time the user has visited the app, they set a cookie so that we can recognize. Man, I don't remember writing this code. Did I write this code? 7 months ago, demo repo. Get blame, putting me on blast here. Me just looking absolutely confused. Why in the world this code exists? Why in the world does this exist? Cookie.parse headers cookie response resolve. Yo, I do not know if this is the first time the user has said it. Why is it saying that I wrote this code? This is totally bizarre. I'm going to go ahead and delete hooks.d.ts. I don't think this file does anything worthwhile here. It looks like it's just setting a UUID in a cookie. Okay. And so it turns out that if I refresh this here, that was the issue. Yeah, the hook was the issue. You can see command line essentials now works. So what we've done here is we ran a query. Man, if you guys aren't excited about GQuery or don't know about it, let me tell you just about it really quickly. What GQuery does is it looks like I kind of explained this a minute ago, but what it does is it looks for all GraphQL files like this one, right? It looks for all GraphQL files in your application, and then it runs them through CodeGen, and then it spits out not only a writable of that query's name. Here we are, or where's the writable? It spits out a writable of that query's name, but also a function, as well as all of the types you need for not only for this function, but also the types for your entire application, including scalars and anything else within your schema. And then it allows you to straight up use these by first running a get function by passing the fetch in, and then utilizing that store anywhere on your site. And like I said, we have built-in dev tools. And to use the dev tools, I don't know if this does work because this repo seems to be out of date. Store is not a store with a subscribe method. Okay, the dev tools are broken, or at least in this example. They're not broken in the real site. But it has dev tools too. So that's cool. Okay, let me see about this return thing. So we have this new load function, right? And one of the things I hit was that I wasn't quite sure if you needed to return anything from the load function. So looks like if you return nothing, just an empty object, it works. What happens if we don't return at all from the load function? Like no return whatsoever. And let me confirm that this is in fact like a whole new, because I can't tell if it's just like loading. Because it's too dang fast. Yeah, it's working. Kit client runtime client start outside of Vite. I don't know what that means. No worries. But beautiful. It's working. I love it. Okay. Now it's time for the main event, guys. It is time for the main event. And I'm so stinking nervous about this. So okay. This if you want to see like 100 at migration errors, stick around because that's about to be popping off here. First things first, though, I'm going to commit these changes. Okay. So far, so good, right? We've gotten all of these things down. Autoform, BootKit, updates to page. I'll do autoform on my own time because that's not exciting. And we're all here for excitement, right? Okay. Now's the time to do it. Level up tutorials. This site, I can guarantee you, is not going to work after running the migration script. And I can guarantee you it's going to maybe take me a lot of today. So let's do it. Let's go for it. You might be wondering why. Why is that the case? Well, we have a lot of stuff in here. We have many folders. We have many routes. We have layout routes. We have TS Svelte files. We have API routes. We have all sorts of stuff. This is going to be very scary. Inside of these, a lot of these are using GQuery as well. So we're doing a lot of data loading. There's a lot of stuff going on. There's multiple script tags. I am going to do it right now. All right, y'all. PNPX, SvelteKit, migrate. Let's do it. Let's go. Yes. So let's do a command find for migration and let's just weep. So it found 65 results, which is going to take me some time to get through. I don't think I can maybe do this all on a live stream. It found a lot of quote unquote problems here. However, let's just, for the sake of it, just so we can have something up and running, I'm going to pnpm UI dev just to see what happens, if the whole thing just implodes or what. And at least it kind of loads. I mean, it starts the dev server, which is better than I expected. So you can see check code was safely removed as a migration task in the initial layout. So the very first thing we do is, I hope this does build your confidence in a migration. I mean, these migrations are tough, and this is a big project, and things can change. And I have a lot of repos, and it's hard to keep everything up to date all the time. So this type of stuff is this is our work. So the first thing is this initial layout. Okay. So this is definitely wrong. This is the layout.ts, mind you. This is the load function. And it moved all of my components over. I'm going to say, okay, let me just declare this. For those of you who are going to migrate, if you have loaded a Svelte component within your context module script, move it before you run this migration script, if you have the possibility of doing that. Because as you can see, what it does is it takes everything in that context module and it moves it out. Why? Why did I put these in the context module? I don't know. Consolidation, maybe. So that's great. That's wonderful. This is a problem making of my entire self. So let's just do it this way, because I think this probably works really well. So I'm going to have these side by side. And the first thing I'm going to do is inside of my load function, I'm going to remove every single .svelte component, right? Let's just get rid of them. See you later. See you later. Just to clear some of the noise out of here. This is my initial layout, guys. We do a lot of stuff in this initial layout. That's kind of how it goes. This is an obnoxious. If we're testing, I turn SSR off. It's stupid, but it's for we use service workers to do our mocking, and it's just, I don't know. I talk about it on the latest syntax that's not out yet, but it's just why? Why do I have to do that? Okay, so check it out. So the load function in our main layout of the site does some really fun things. It globs up all of the GQ.ts files to replenish our stores, which is really great. So we use GQuery and we load all the data server side. We write that data to a variable, then we load that variable up on the client side, and then we populate our stores with that so we don't have to do double fetches for all of our data. Apollo client does this kind of thing. I don't think any other Svelte GraphQL library does this or does this as elegantly. So that's something that's nice that we do. I think it's eager. Eager is true. So you might not know this, but in the latest version of Svelte, or in the latest version of Vite, glob eager was just changed to glob eager true. So that's a small little business. And this code is not, this code probably needs to get run in the client-side script, not in the server-side script. Now, likewise, we have our two get functions here for data. Let's go ahead and get rid of this throw here. And I'm going to guess that most of these imports aren't for this layout.ts file, but actually should be in this Svelte file. So, gotta love it here. Look at all this. Look at all this red. Okay, so first things first, obey your thirst. Let's cut these out and move them into scriptlang.ts. Just to avoid all this red. Okay. We also want to load up our CSS. Let's remove this. Sorry, this is the context module. Let's just straight up move all of these imports and all of this stuff into the script tag. Sorry, this is like the biggest, most ugly file we have in our entire code base. So it's, only right that we start with this giant behemoth of an excuse for a component. Okay, so I'm going to get rid of this. We want to import Mux Player so that it's available to us right off the jump. Cookies, LogRocket, Sentry, Sentry Tracing, AppEnv, Browser Dev, Page Navigate. We want that stuff. Import Analytics. Okay, so our Google Analytics. Now here's the stuff we don't need. We don't need the load function, and we don't need heap being loaded because I don't think we're using heap right now anyways. Okay. Let's see if that worked. I'm the type of person who just sees if it works. By the way, I'm only going to stream for 10 more minutes here, and then I'll just do the rest of this on my own. As you saw, there were 60 migration issues. So what I'm going to do is go off and do this on my own. I can't stream for like 10 hours today, but I'll go off and do this on my own and then come back and do a little, you know, how it all worked out kind of deal. Okay, let's go ahead and actually give this page a try now. We've gotten rid of 2 of those. Element is not defined. Element is not defined. And this is prism.js, which this error kind of seems like it's out of nowhere. Prism.js, element is not defined. Now, I would imagine maybe I'm trying to load like Prism up on the server side or something. Maybe that's the problem. I don't need any of this stuff anyway, so let's actually just remove all of this stuff from our load function. In fact, we can remove this browser. Let's just remove all of this. All of this except for get tags and get user. Those are the only 2 things we need. So as you can see, this is kind of making my code a lot nicer because we had all of this kind of nastiness living inside of here. And now it's a little bit better. Yeah, Svelte Refactor brought to you by LogRocket. They are not sponsoring this video, but they do sponsor Syntax, and we love them for that. That's wonderful of them. It's really a cool product. Prism. Man, is there anything worse than Prism.js? Like, for real? I don't like Prism. So... okay, so this is having a problem. Element is not defined. Element is not defined. You know, it makes sense to search for element. You know, just files to include .svelte. Let's see. Elements. Look for the whole word. Element inside of portal. No, this is not it. Very clearly not it. Okay. Praise. It has to do with our markdown renderer, most likely. Joy of Code. I also tried implementing Shiki, but I couldn't get it to work either, which is why we're using Prism. I have a custom renderer for Markdown as well inside of Prism, or inside of, well, just Svelte Markdown. Maybe that's the problem. Maybe it's a problem inside of another plugin. Although I don't. Prism. Import Prism. And so this is not within this plugin. Or package. This is within an entirely different package. So it couldn't possibly be this file. And when I say couldn't possibly mean, I don't think it is. Let's see. Page.svelte. This is within GQuery, but this doesn't make any sense for it to be this either. All right, here's inside of the code view. Let's just comment this out. The classic to do. There we go. Things. Element is not defined. Prism.js. Ay. Where am I even? Where does this even come into play here? I guess is the question. This has got to be a big gripe of mine. Is like errors like this. I couldn't tell you why this exists. Could not tell you. Element is not defined. Oh, well, let's see. We're now getting a migration. Maybe that's actually the issue. Oh my gosh. Okay, we're now getting a migration task. Page.svelte. So it turns out the error was probably a red herring. I don't know if it is, but I'm going to guess it is. So we've upgraded layout.ts. I'm going to stream for 5 more minutes here, okay? And we have a team meeting. So let's take a look at page.ts. This is the main layout page of the site. And just like the last one, we're importing essentially a get function into our load, and then we're just returning that. So that's fine. And then you can see we have our migration task, check code safely remove. Let's get rid of that. We don't need our get in this one. And you can see in this component, I'm actually smart about not loading up components in context.module for some reason. And let's save this. Okay, so I'm hoping that maybe I can get you guys to at least a homepage layout here by the end of this video, but it's not looking like it. Element is not defined. Prism.js. I mean, honestly, I'm not even loading Prism unless it's through a submodule. GQ.ts has unused property dev tools, yada, yada, yada. I'm so immune to seeing errors in the console that I just breeze through that now. It's just like, all right, whatever. There's a giant stack of errors. And a call stack that starts with a deeply embedded line 1700 inside of prism.js. It sounds like my exact web nightmare, if you're wondering. You know what? Element is not defined prism.js. I'm going to have to hit up to Google, which you got to love. Blank is not defined in Google. Yeah, everybody's just saying when you get stuck like this, this is totally the truth. Prism.js, yo, I could go the rest of my dev career without working in Prism.js and be really pretty psyched about it. Here's what I'm guessing. I'm guessing, let's see. Does this, just go crash my computer looking for this file. So this file, element is not defined. Element.className is one of the things that is in the get language and set language function within Prism. Now, I don't know where I could possibly be using that within these components. I just straight up don't think I am using that in these components. And that's fine. But it does kind of weird me out that I'm hitting that issue here of all places on a page that doesn't do that much. I mean, it does a lot. You can see it does a lot, but it's not doing anything that would be using a Prism. Not doing anything that's using Prism. Okay, get tags. Let's get rid of these unneeded imports. Let's clean this up a little bit. Don't need sales banner. I want to keep replenish stores, but I can comment it out. Cookies from JS Cookie. Sure. We used cookies for, in case you're wondering, we use cookies to like set the user's theme or the their playback speed or those types of things. Yeah. You know what? This is going to be one of those times for me where I just start commenting things out, unfortunately. It's the worst style of debugging that exists, but hey, sometimes you got to do it. What you got to do. Comment out my migration, comment environment.staging, comment all this stuff. Comment it out. And let's just see if we can get the header showing. Where even is the header? Oh, it's right here. Okay. It's weird that my comment color was the same. There we go. Replace load function in error.svelte. Now we're getting somewhere. So replace load function in error.svelte. That's fine. Why way flavor tea, Scott? What flavor tea? I'm not drinking any tea at the moment. I'm drinking a lot of cold brew. And I will have tea later on in the day. User is not defined. Yeah, that probably tracks. User is now defined. There we go. Okay. Oh, yes. All right, this is the perfect thing to go out on. I'm going to end the stream on this note. We simultaneously have the site loading without CSS, which is good because I turned the CSS off. Okay, so the site now loads without CSS. Let's see if JavaScript works. Doesn't look like it. The site now loads without CSS, but at the same time we're getting an iTerm unexpectedly quit. So on that note, I will leave it to you, and I'm going to hit up these 65 migration tasks and just keep on plugging on this thing. So thank you for tuning into this. This has been a lot of fun. Honestly, if I had to rate this migration, I would rate it as way more successful than I could have ever planned. I got through most of these tasks that I had at hand, and now I'm onto the main site. And the next time you see me, I will emerge from my cave, and I will have a working site here. I'm going to be Puxatony Scott here and get this site working, and we're going to have this thing cruising. So I'll do a little post-mortem on this. Thanks so much for tuning in, and I will catch you on the flip side. See you later. leveluptutorials.com, syntax.fm, all that stuff. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.